Some Formula One cars are quick, some are championship winners, and then there are the cars that completely redefine what dominance looks like. Cars so far ahead of the competition that races were often over before the first corner. Today we're looking at the most dominant cars in Formula One history. Not just the fastest, but the cars that utterly crushed the opposition. We'll break down exactly why they were so unstoppable, what made them special, and whether anyone has ever come close to matching them. Because some of the numbers you're about to hear almost don't sound real. Before we begin, if you enjoy Formula One stories like this, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and there's plenty more F1 history coming your way. Let's get into it. Red Bull RB19, 2023. When people talk about dominance in modern Formula One, there's one car that immediately comes to mind, the Red Bull RB19. This wasn't just a championship-winning car, it was arguably the most complete Formula One car ever built. Across the 2023 season, there were 22 Grand Prix. The RB19 won 21 of them. That's a staggering 95.5% win rate. Only one race escaped Red Bull's grasp, the Singapore Grand Prix, a weekend where the RB19 suddenly looked vulnerable. The car struggled with the unique characteristics of Marina Bay. Red Bull's setup direction proved completely wrong, and Carlos Sainz drove a flawless race for Ferrari. Apart from that, nobody stood a chance. Max Verstappen alone won 19 races, breaking the all-time record for victories in a single season. He also won 10 races in a row, another record. But what made the RB19 so unbeatable? It all started underneath the car. Formula One's ground effect regulations, introduced in 2022, rewarded teams that could generate enormous downforce from the floor. Adrian Newey understood this better than almost anyone. While rivals chased peak downforce, Red Bull found something arguably more valuable: consistency. The RB19 worked everywhere. High-speed circuits, street circuits, low downforce tracks, hot conditions, cold conditions. It simply adapted. Then there was its incredible tyre management. While rivals often had to choose between qualifying pace or race pace, Red Bull somehow had both. The RB19 could follow another car without destroying its tyres. It could push for longer, run different strategies, and still finish comfortably ahead. Its straight-line speed was equally devastating. Despite producing huge levels of downforce, it remained one of the fastest cars through the speed traps. That combination shouldn't really have been possible, yet Red Bull somehow achieved it. Christian Horner later described the RB19 as having almost no weaknesses, and that's probably the best way to sum it up. Every Formula One car has compromises. The RB19 barely seemed to. Ironically, the car's greatest challenge wasn't another team. It was making sure Red Bull didn't become complacent, because by the second half of the season, they were often racing against themselves. McLaren MP4/4, 1988. If the RB19 dominated modern Formula One, the McLaren MP4/4 became the benchmark that every dominant car has been measured against for decades. 1988 wasn't just another successful season, it was total annihilation. Out of 16 races, McLaren won 15. Only the Italian Grand Prix escaped them, and even that required extraordinary circumstances. Both Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost drove the MP44, two of the greatest drivers the sport has ever seen. Together they scored 10 1-2 finishes. It's difficult to overstate how ridiculous that is. Imagine two teammates finishing first and second in well over half the season, against the best teams in the world. So what made the MP44 so special? First, its packaging. Designed by Steve Nichols with significant input from Gordon Murray after joining from Brabham, the MP44 featured an unusually low driving position. The driver lay back much further than was typical at the time. This reduced frontal area, improved airflow, and lowered the center of gravity. Every tiny aerodynamic gain mattered. Power came from Honda's legendary RA168E turbocharged V6. By 1988, turbo engines were in their final season before being banned. Strict boost limits had reduced power compared to previous years, but Honda adapted better than anyone else. The engine delivered exceptional reliability, smooth power delivery, and excellent fuel efficiency. Fuel management was critical that year because teams were limited to just 150 litres for the race. Run out, and your race was over. McLaren mastered that challenge. The MP44 wasn't always dramatically faster over one lap, but over an entire race, it was relentless. Even today, more than 35 years later, the MP44 remains one of the greatest Formula One cars ever created. Williams FW 14B, 1992. Before active suspension was banned, there was one team that pushed technology further than anyone else, Williams, and the FW14B became the ultimate expression of that philosophy. To many engineers, it was a Formula One car from the future. The headline feature was active suspension. Instead of relying on conventional springs and dampers, hydraulic actuators constantly adjusted each corner of the car hundreds of times every second. The result? The car maintained the perfect ride height, no matter the corner, no matter the braking zone, no matter the bumps. Keeping the aerodynamic platform stable unlocked huge amounts of downforce. While rivals' cars pitched and rolled, the FW14B stayed remarkably flat. But active suspension was only the beginning. It also featured semi-automatic paddle shift gears, traction control, anti-lock braking development work, sophisticated onboard electronics, and advanced telemetry. Many of these technologies would later become common. Back then, they felt almost unbelievable. Of course, technology alone isn't enough. The car also needed a driver capable of exploiting it. Enter Nigel Mansell. In 1992, Mansell produced one of the greatest championship campaigns Formula One has ever seen. He won the opening 5 races, wrapped up the championship with 5 races still remaining, and finished the season with 9 victories from 16 races. His teammate Riccardo Patrese added another win, giving Williams 10 victories overall. What's fascinating is how rivals reacted. Many teams believed Williams had discovered some secret aerodynamic breakthrough. In reality, the biggest advantage often came from the electronics keeping the car perfectly balanced through every corner. Drivers from other teams later described watching the FW14B in fast corners. It barely seemed to move. It looked planted, stable, almost unnatural. The FIA eventually banned many electronic driver aids because they believed technology was beginning to overshadow driver skill. In many ways, the FW14B accelerated that decision. It was simply too advanced for its era. So, which of these deserves the title of the most dominant Formula One car ever? The Williams FW14B probably changed Formula One technology more than any of the others. It introduced concepts that forced the entire grid to rethink what was possible. The McLaren MP4/4 became the gold standard for dominance, winning 15 of 16 races in an era packed with legendary drivers. But statistically, the Red Bull RB19 stands alone. 21 wins from 22 races, 19 victories for one driver. Records falling almost every weekend, and perhaps most impressively. It achieved all of this under Formula One's modern budget cap, an era specifically designed to stop one team dominating the sport. That's what makes the RB19's achievements feel even more extraordinary. Every regulation introduced to close the field, and Red Bull still found a way to pull away. Whether we'll ever see another season like that is impossible to know. But Formula One has a habit of surprising us, because just when one era of dominance ends, another usually begins. If you enjoyed this look at the most dominant cars in Formula One, let me know in the comments which car you think deserves the #1 spot. And if there's another legendary Formula One machine you'd like me to cover in its own video, tell me that too. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.